voicebeforethevoid.net. Witches and a Werewolf. From Satyricon by Petronius. Translated from the Latin by W.C. Firebaugh and Michael Heselton. Edited and read by The Voice Before the Void. After they had all wished each other sound minds and good health, Trimalchio turned to Niceros. "You used to be better company at dinner," he remarked, "and I don't know why you should be dumb today, with never a word to say. If you wish to make me happy, tell about that experience you had, I beg of you." Delighted at the affability of his friend, "I hope I lose all my luck if I'm not tickled to death at the humor I see in you," Niceros replied. "All right, let's go the limit for a good time, though I'm afraid these scholars will laugh at me, but I'll tell my tale, and they can go as far as they like. What the hell do I care who laughs? It's better to be laughed at than laughed down." These words spake the hero, and began the following tale. We lived in a narrow street in the house Gavila now owns, when I was a slave. There, by the will of the gods, I fell in love with the wife of Terentius, the innkeeper. You knew Melissa of Tarentum, that pretty round-cheeked little thing. It was no carnal passion, so hear me, Hercules. It wasn't. I was not in love with her physical charms. No, it was because she had a beautiful nature. I never asked her for a thing and had her deny me. If she had a penny, I had half. I trusted her with everything I had, and never was done out of anything. Her husband up and died on the place one day, so I tried every way I could to get to her, for you know friends ought to show up when someone's in a pinch. It so happened that our master had gone to Capua to attend to some odds and ends of business, and I seized the opportunity, and persuaded a guest of the house to accompany me as far as the 5th milestone. He was a soldier, and as brave as a devil Orcus. We set out about cockcrow. The moon was shining as bright as midday, and came to where the tombstones are. My man stepped aside amongst them, but I sat down, singing, and commenced to count the graves. When I looked around for my companion, he had stripped himself and piled his clothes by the side of the road. My heart was in my mouth, and I sat there while he pissed a ring around his clothes and was suddenly turned into a wolf. Now don't think I'm joking. I wouldn't lie for any amount of money. But as I was saying, he commenced to howl after he was turned into a wolf, and ran away into the forest. I didn't know where I was for a minute or two. Then I went to his clothes to pick them up, but they had all turned to stone. No one could be nearer dead with terror than I was. Then I drew my sword and slashed every shadow along the road, till I came to the house of my mistress. I looked like a corpse when I went in, and I nearly gave up the ghost. The sweat was pouring down my legs, my eyes were staring, and I could hardly be brought around. My Melissa wondered why I was out so late. "Oh, if you'd only come sooner," she said, "you could have helped us. A wolf broke into the folds and attacked the sheep, bleeding them like a butcher. But he didn't get the laugh on me, even if he did get away, for one of the slaves ran his neck through with a spear." I couldn't keep my eyes shut any longer when I heard that, and as soon as it grew light, I rushed back to Argaeus' house like an innkeeper beaten out of his bill, and when I came to the place where the clothes had been turned into stone, there was nothing but a pool of blood. And moreover, when I got home, my soldier was lying in bed like an ox, and a doctor was dressing his neck. I knew then that he was a pelt changer, a shape-shifter, a werewolf, and after that I never could sit down to a meal with him. No, not if my life depended on it. Others can think what they want about this, but as for me, may your gods take me if I'm lying. We were all dumb with astonishment, when, "I take your story for granted," said Trimalchio, "and if you'll believe me, my hair stood on end, and all the more, because I know that Niceros never talks nonsense. He's always level-headed, and not at all like Chatterbox. And now I'll tell you a hair-raiser myself, though I'm clumsy as a jackass on slippery pavement compared to him. When I was a long-haired boy, for I lived a Sheehan life, luxurious and shameless, from my youth up, my master's minion died. He was a jewel, so hear me, Hercules. He was perfect in every facet. While his sorrow-stricken mother was bewailing his loss, and the rest of us were lamenting with her, the witches suddenly commenced to screech so loud that you would have thought a hare was being run down by the hounds. At that time, we had a Cappadocian slave, tall, very bold, and he had muscle, too. He could lift an angry bull into the air. He wrapped a mantle around his left arm, boldly rushed out of doors with drawn sword, and ran a woman through the middle about here. May no harm come to where my finger touches. We heard a scream, but to tell the honest truth, we didn't catch sight of the witches themselves. Our big fellow came back presently, and threw himself upon the bed. His whole body was black and blue, as if he had been flogged with whips, and of course the reason of that was she had touched him with her evil hand. We shut the door and returned to our business, but when the mother put her arms around the body of her son, it turned out that he was only a straw bolster, no heart, no guts, nothing. Of course, the witches had swooped down upon the lad and put the straw changeling in his place. Believe me or not, suit yourselves, but I say that there are women that know too much, and night riders too, and they can turn the whole world upside down. And as for the tall slave, he never got back his natural color after this, and died, raving mad, a few days later. Though we wondered greatly, we believed none the less implicitly, and, kissing the table, we besought the night hags to attend to their own affairs while we were returning home from dinner.